Hi, welcome to our little Makery video tutorial. This is for the Wolf Shadow Box. What comes with your kit is paint, paintbrush, glue, and a frame. This frame I've already painted black, but it comes just brown, and it just slots together like this so that your shadow box can sit up and be displayed. So you can paint it whatever color you want. One or two coats is usually good enough. Let's get started with the shadow box. So how it's going to come in the box is it's going to be tucked together in the right layers. And what I usually do is I take my layers apart like this. And then I know the order everything needs to go in. And what's really great about that is then I can kind of plan like which one's going first, which one's going second, which one's in the background, and I can really quickly just kind of go, okay, well, this is the main color of the fox. How much gets covered up? Oh, like a lot of it gets covered up and really only this part shows up. So what do I really want that part to be like? So it just kind of lets you plan out, I feel like, your colors a little bit better. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with my background, which is my night sky, my moon, and my clouds. So my night sky, I'm going to do black with some dark blue, just because there's so much, I think, gray and dark and white in the wolf. I really want that to show up, and I think the blue would be nice background to show up. So I'm going to take my blue, put my blue on, and then add black, just so it's really quite a dark black sky. And I'm just going to mix it right on here. You can, of course, mix it anywhere you'd like on a plate or another scrap piece of wood. I like painting it right on the shadow box, just because I feel like sometimes I like when they don't completely mix and you get streaks of the different colors in it. It kind of depends on what you're painting, but sometimes I like that, and so that's why I like mixing right here. So I like that color. I wish it was a little bit darker, so I just added some black. But for the most part, I like the color. And now I'm just going to go over and make sure it's all the same darkness and it's the same thickness of paint. I don't want one area to kind of have brown sticking through it. So there, I have my black sky, and I'm going to have my dark side of the moon coming up here. So I'm going to have black and gray for this part. And I'm going to do light gray for my moon here. And because a light color, sometimes you have to do 2 or 3 coats, just because of the laser cut wood underneath it. Sometimes it just kind of pops through brown. And if you're doing like really light, like white or gray, then you don't want it to be brown coming through. So I'm putting this on pretty thick. And also I'm not going around the rim of the shadow box, you can, but because it's going to be covered, and then I'm just worried that I might have paint that falls over the edge, which is totally fine. You just have to paint at the end. I'm not going to, but I'm just doing the part that I know is going to show up. So now I'm coming in here, mixing my black and my gray to just make kind of the darker parts of the moon. And then what I can do now is I can quickly put this over top and just hold it there so I'm not putting the paint down because it's wet, and go, you know what? I kind of feel like it needs to have a little bit darker, just a tiny bit. So I'm going to add in a little bit more black while it's still wet. There, I think that it's darker. I want it to be really light, like I don't want it to be black. So I think that looks great. I think that's just a little bit darker, not tons. You can do the same thing and hold it above. Yeah, I think that looks awesome. Love it. So now I'm going to come in here and do my clouds. And I don't know, I might want them to be like a little, like maybe mystical or something. Maybe I don't want them to just be white. Maybe I want them to have like a little bit of a pink tone or a little bit of a purple tone to them. So I might come in here with white, knowing that I'm going to actually put some pink or orange down here. Maybe purple. Just so it's kind of like a little bit different for the full moon that the wolf is howling at. So maybe I'm going to bring in some of my dark purple. Still while it's wet. And of course you don't have to do this. You have to do any of the colors. Totally up to you. I'm just going to mix in the purple. Not everywhere, just like a little bit. So then I'm going to let that all dry and I'm going to work on my wolf. So my wolf has quite a few layers. And then I have the rock where he's perched on, and then I also have my like main layer, like my frame, I guess. And it's very fragile, especially this piece. And there's lots of tiny, fine little details. So when you're painting it, of course, you could just do like grays and browns and whites or blacks. But what you can also do is after it's all been painted, you can go back in and you can add really fine lines with your paintbrush if you tilt it this way instead of this way. And then you can even get some like of the coat and some of the hairs, even though there's hardly any space in some of them, just to kind of make it look, you know, a little bit more interesting, I guess. So I'm going to make this wolf be kind of a darker gray wolf, I would say. And I think that this rock mostly gets covered up, but I'm going to make the rock brown. So I'm going to make this layer black. So I'm making my first layer the darkest, and then I'm going to go up from there and just do darker, lighter gray, and then white. At the end, maybe like tiny bit of gray. Okay, and then this one, you do gray, but I already have a black brush, so I'm just going to mix it right in there. And you can see even in here, if you're mixing right on here, you're getting some of the light and the dark mixed together. And I really like that. So I like to leave it. Just because it is an animal, so it's not going to be all perfect. You are going to have the hair. And then I'm going to come in here with an even lighter gray. And what I might do with this, just to show some of the detail and some of that hair, is I might take white just over kind of the tail, at least where it's really bushy. I might go really, really lightly in this way. And I might just see if I can get like a few lines in the fur. I might even just do that here. If it pops through. And I might even do that on the black too. And then I'm going to do white here. If you had a silver in your craft supplies, that would look really amazing as well. I like there. And then for the stone, I'm just going to kind of do it the same way. I'm going to do light white and brown, light here. And then I'm going to add more brown with this one. And then just a tiny bit of white here. So it's mostly brown. Most of it is covered up, but you do have little areas that are going to poke through, and it's always nice to have them as different colors, in different shades, just so it, looks like it's further away or up close, or the sun or the moon is shining on it differently. And then what you can always do too is, again, add those details like I did with the hair. Maybe you want to do it with black, or maybe you want to do it with white, and it's kind of more like the moon shining. Maybe this one I want it to be more white, just so I have some depth when they go on top of each other. I'm just taking a tiny bit like this and going over top of it. And again, I still even have this one to do, so a lot gets covered. This one has a teeny tiny bit of brown in it. There. So I'm going to take this, put it over top, again, not resting it just because It's all wet. And I just kind of want to make sure that my different grays or whatever colors you picked are kind of popping up so it looks different in between them. These ones are quite similar, so I might want to maybe make that one a bit darker gray. Or maybe even add a little brown to the gray just so it's a little bit different. Just so that my layers pop out. Okay, and then for my last ring that I'm going to paint, which is the ring that just kind of borders it and frames it all in, usually try and pick a color. Two ways you can do it. A color that you didn't use at all here to frame it in, so maybe it could be like dark blue, or it could be brown because you didn't really use that. A white, kind of a basic color, or you could go like orange or red or bright blue, which is what I think I'm going to do, just because it's so opposite. Everything here is really dark, and so your frame just kind of does exactly that. It just kind of frames it in, and it's nice, I think, to have a completely different color than what you use in your shadow box, or you can just do your basic frame it in with a white or a black or a gray. But because we use so much of that in here, I think this blue just kind of sets it up because it's completely different. There. So then I would let all of these dry, and then I would stack them on top of each other to make sure that it's exactly how I want it to be. And then I can go in and change colors, add different details into it, and then I would glue it all together. So how I would glue them all together is I would take my glue and I would start with obviously my back layer first, so my sky first. Then I would flip this over, I put glue, it comes with an applicator, and I would put my glue here, and then I would put it down here. I can't do it now because these are still wet. And I would make sure that it's all lined up perfectly to your circle. Let this dry. Then come in, put your glue in the back, put over top here, line it all up, let it dry. So you're going to go stage by stage, because if you do it too fast, it's really easy. Like if my moon is off here, I think it's best to let everything dry, because then when you do your next layer, nothing else is shifting around. So that's what I would do. But of course, you can always add, some fun details. So another really fun detail you can add, this is nice and dry, is you can add some stars to your night sky, or you could add the Milky Way. So if you take a little bit of water and a little bit of white paint, or white with like a little bit of yellow, and you put some white paint, just a tiny little bit on your brush, and get it all nice and wet. And then if you kind of dab it like this, then you can get the splatter of stars. The closer you do it, the bigger they are. The further away, the smaller they are. The only thing is, the further away, you might get it on here unless you move it around. So that's how you can get a night sky that's really random. And of course, if you want to do a galaxy like, or if you want to do a constellation, you can just take the bottom of your paintbrush, stick it in your paint, and then you can put it down like this, and then you can kind of control where the stars go to make your Big Dipper or whatever you're going to make. What's cool about the water is some of them are going to have more water and some are going to have less, and so therefore you're going to have the depth of stars that are close and stars that aren't. So I really like doing that. So that was one added detail I wanted to show you. So yeah, after add all your details, everything dries, you're going to put it together and glue it. Once it's all together, you might notice that your edges, sorry, I'll just do it quickly so you can see it. Your edges where you painted, there, won't do them all, but there. You might notice that there's some paint on the edge. So when it's all glued and all together, what you can do is you can take black or brown, or you could even do white, and all you do is you take your paintbrush and you paint all the way around your edges, just so everything kind of looks the same and doesn't look like there's these layers of paint. But anyways, that is the Wolf shadow box, and I hope you absolutely love it and you had so much fun making it. Thanks for watching. Bye.